What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Unpopular Opinion, and today we have ourselves another movie versus movie battle to see which is the best Mel Gibson war movie for independence. Today we're pitting The Patriot up against Braveheart in a 10-round winner-takes-all fight for freedom. So, round 1. Plot. So Braveheart takes place in the High Middle Ages and is about the First Scottish War for Independence. The Patriot, on the other hand, takes place in the 13 colonies during the 1700s and is about the American Revolutionary War. Braveheart's plot is about a reluctant man who wants to live a peaceful life while his country is on the verge of a revolution.
I came back home to raise crops and, God willing, a family.
However, fate forces his hand as his family and loved ones are attacked by the English, and after a rage-fueled act of revenge, he ends up leading men in a struggle for independence. And The Patriot is about a man who wants to live a peaceful life while his country is on the verge of a revolution.
If you're asking me, am I willing to go to war with England? Well, then the answer is most definitely no.
However, fate forces his hand as his family and loved ones are attacked by the English and... Wait. That seems kind of familiar. Where have I seen this before?
When I get a chance to kill Englishmen.
I'll kill me some redcoats.
Hang on a second. These plots are exactly the same. I did not see that coming. Well, anyway, all joking aside, The Patriot and Braveheart actually share so much in common in terms of the plot that there is really no way to compare which one is better. So this round is a tie. Round 2. Characters. Now, Braveheart features a lot of real-life figures from history. How accurately they're portrayed will be discussed later in the video. However, from an artistic and storytelling point of view, Braveheart features the hero's journey very well, in my opinion. For example, we see our hero William Wallace grow up an orphan due to his family being killed by the English, and how he's raised by his uncle. His uncle gives him an education and takes him across the world, teaching him how to fight and many important life lessons.
Stand up, man. I'm not the Pope.
We also see his entourage in the supporting characters. We have Steve the Crazy Irishman.
Just answer the fucking question.
And Amish, William's strong childhood friend.
I could crush you like a worm.
Then there's William's 2 love interests. These supporting characters help Wallace in his struggle during the war and honestly add a lot of great layers to the movie. In The Patriot, we have our main hero, Benjamin Martin. He's a veteran of the French and Indian War and has a really dark past that he's desperately trying to hide from his kids.
I know what you and your men did to my countrymen at Fort Wilderness.
He's a plantation owner, widower, and the leader of the militia that fights the British.
But mark my words, this war will be fought not on the frontier or on some distant battlefield, but amongst us.
The supporting characters include his children, the men under his command, which includes a reverend, farmers, and a French military officer.
Yes, trust the French. Where else do I get the opportunity to kill a few redcoats?
Now, as cool as those characters are, we aren't as familiar with them as we are in Braveheart. In Braveheart, we see how the English has personally affected their lives and their reasons to fight. Also, William Wallace's character arc is masterfully done.
I will invade England and defeat the English on their own ground.
In The Patriot, we know why Benjamin Martin is fighting, and we know why the Frenchman is fighting, but the supporting characters aren't as fleshed out.
Sergeant, there's no need for you and your men to die. Leave the wagons and go.
So winner, Braveheart.
I will have you shot.
Round 3. Villains. Our main villain in Braveheart is the historical figure of King Edward I, aka Longshanks. In The Patriot, we have Colonel William Tavington, who's loosely based on Bannister Tarleton. Braveheart depicts King Edward as a brutal, oppressive tyrant who ruthlessly rules over Scotland. His villainy consists of depriving the Scots of training with real weapons, having his soldiers garrisoned in Scottish towns and harassing the locals, and implementing the really cruel policy of prima nocta.
If we can't get them out, we'll breed them out.
Prima nocta is the concept of an English lord sleeping with a newlywed bride on the first night of her wedding, so her child will be English instead of Scottish. Now, honestly, I can't think of anything more oppressive than to steal a man's wife and take her virginity while the husband is forced to just accept it. King Edward is also short-tempered and very cruel.
Who is this person who speaks to me as though I needed his advice? That's what happens when you send a woman.
This is especially true and is shown during the Battle of Falkirk when he orders his archers to unleash a volley of arrows at the Scots despite his own soldiers being engaged in close quarters with them.
I beg pardon, sire. Won't we hit our own troops?
Yeah, but we'll hit theirs as well.
On On the other hand, we have Colonel Tavington, who is a butcher. He orders his men to kill wounded, neutralized POWs.
What of the rebel wounded?
Kill them.
And personally shoots Benjamin Martin's son.
Stupid boy.
He's also responsible for committing one of the most atrocious war crimes ever to be put on screen, when he traps a bunch of civilians in a church and sets it on fire.
The honor is found in the end, not the means. This will be forgotten.
Now this one's tough, because Longshanks might be an oppressive tyrant, but in the film, he never actually faces William Wallace personally, and he mostly orders his men to do his will, as opposed to personally doing it himself, whereas Tavington either personally does, or is present when his men do everything his villainy is known for. It's much more cruel to shoot a child and snicker at it, and to be present when your men perform scorched earth tactics, than to order your men to do something that you don't have to witness. I think it's harder to personally perform crimes against humanity yourself, than to have someone else conveniently do it for you and not have to witness the effects firsthand. Also, Jason Isaacs' screen presence is much more charismatic and intimidating than Patrick McGugan's. He's just so menacing. So the winner is The Patriot.
Are you blind?
Round 4, performances. Now, it's no secret that Mel Gibson is one of my favorite actors, and his performances in both films are stellar. He displays his talent by demonstrating his wide range as an actor. You see him perform physically and doing a lot of stunts and action. You see him when he needs to be professional and serious. We see him in his moments of stoicism, and we see the softer emotional sides of the character during times of personal tragedy. And I've always felt like his performances in both films were worthy of Oscar nominations, mostly in Braveheart, but for the most part, the leading performances are tied. So when looking at the supporting actors, we have a very talented cast for both sides, but in the end, I have to give it to Braveheart. Reasons being that the talent is much more raw, and you see a lot more variety from the cast. So winner, Braveheart.
Before this war's over, I'm going to kill you.
Round 5, sounds and special effects. Sounds and special effects can make or break a war movie. If the effects are done sloppy, then it could hurt the quality of the film. So I'm happy to report that the special effects in both movies are amazing, and so too was their sound quality. We see graphic battle wounds portrayed very gruesomely in both films. We see great special effects, and their battle sounds were amazing. Just listen for yourself. Now, honestly, I'm gonna have to give this one to The Patriot, because not only did they have more opportunities to display their effects, but the gunfire and explosion sound quality was top-notch, and I really loved it. So winner, The Patriot.
This is the King's Highway, and I advise you and your men to make way.
All right, lads, let's go home!
Round 6. Music. Now, the music of both movies are very good. The Patriot score was composed by the Emperor of Movie Music himself, John Williams, and Braveheart's score was by James Horner. Simply put, the music from Braveheart is so powerful. Not only is it badass, but it's also inspirational. Whenever I need a boost of motivation, I listen to the Execution and Bannockburn theme. When I hear the music, it makes me want to take on the world. So winner, Braveheart.
That man insults me!
Round 7. Direction. Both movies feature a lot of great filmmaking techniques, anywhere from its awesome camera angles, great cinematography, staging, the overall construction of the shots. These movies were very well done. Braveheart's big strength, in my opinion, is the epic landscape shots, because if you're gonna make a movie about Scotland, you need to feature the landscapes and the countryside. So those aerial shots were awesome. The Patriot, on the other hand, has a lot of really intense close-ups and slow motion sequences that heighten the suspension. Not to mention, I love the cuts between battles and training and flashback. Overall, that's really cool. And the way the battles were constructed just were sublime. So winner, The Patriot.
No!
Round 8, legacy and popularity. So, The Patriot has wide appeal for many Americans. Routinely, whenever I ask the average man what their favorite Mel Gibson movie is, they typically say The Patriot. Even your non-history buff can enjoy this movie for a lot of reasons. However, this movie is really controversial for a lot of reasons, chiefly how it portrays the British, and for other aspects I'm going to mention later in the video. The movie was financially successful, but again, its controversy has tainted it for some viewers, and I really doubt that it's held in high esteem outside of the USA, and critical reviews of it are mixed. However, Braveheart has a much wider fan base that spans multiple countries. Not only was it very financially successful, but it won 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. Despite its shortcomings, the film is loved by fans and held in much higher regard by critics. So winner, Braveheart.
Would you like a lesson, sir, in the rules of war?
Round 9. Battles. Now, we've come to the round that every war movie buff has been waiting for. We're going to be discussing the combat of these films, and I'm happy to report that the battle and fight scenes in both of these movies are outstanding. Not only are they constructed very well from a filmmaking artistic perspective, but they're so epic and thrilling. Braveheart's portrayal of medieval warfare is gruesome and badass at the same time. The battles at Stirling and Falkirk are epic, large-scale clashes between armies that showcase awesome uses of cavalry, archers, and sword-wielding infantry. However, my personal favorite battle was Wallace's revenge at Lanark. It's always cool to see warfare pre-Renaissance period portrayed in movies. Like I mentioned earlier, the combat shown in this movie was gruesome and not shy when depicting combat injuries. The Patriots' battle scenes are also so epic and on a large scale. The final battle was not only exciting, but it was inspirational as well. Seeing the armies fire in volleys and the guerrilla tactics was so badass. Not to mention seeing Mel Gibson go savage on the British with his tomahawk was legendary. But what movie did it better? They both feature large-scale clashes between armies and epic one-on-one combat scenes. Honestly, as awesome as Braveheart is, you can only show so much with swords and spears, and movie battles are generally better with firearms. Being that The Patriot features single-shot muskets and cannons, it just makes the movie even more exciting. Revolutionary War combat makes for so much fun in movies. Seeing cannon barrages and armies line up to fire on one another sends chills. Also, every type of combat Braveheart has, The Patriot also has, and more. And what I mean by this is firearms weren't what they are today, and when armies fired their single shots and got too close, then things erupted into close combat. So like Braveheart, The Patriot also has sword fights, one-on-one fist fights, cavalry engagements, plus the addition of guns, which makes the battles more action-packed and epic. So winner, The Patriot.
You rotten bastard! Why?
Round 10, historical accuracy. Ha! That's a joke. Sorry. But as much as I love these films as a movie buff, it's undeniable that both The Patriot and Braveheart are among some of the most historically inaccurate movies ever made. Like I said, as a movie buff, these films are amazing, but as a history buff and historian in training, I can say that these are horrible in their portrayal of their respective wars. I could honestly probably spend an hour dissecting the inaccuracies of both movies, but let's just sum up some of the biggest ones. In Braveheart, the Scots are wearing kilts in the 13th and 14th centuries. However, kilts didn't become a thing until the 1700s. So that'd be like watching The Patriot, where all the soldiers are wearing modern clothing. Also, the Scots didn't paint their faces blue. That's something the Picts did, and they're famous for fighting against the Romans. Now, you could argue that Braveheart is drawing the parallel between the Scots fighting the English to the Picts fighting the Romans, but they still didn't paint their faces. Also, the Battle of Stirling in the movie excluded the bridge, which was one of the key elements in the real-life battle. Also, they excluded a lot of real-life Scottish leaders, and having Isabella of France be Wallace's girlfriend was impossible because she was only 9 years old when he died. The concept of prima nocta is a medieval myth, and there's no evidence that it ever happened, and William Wallace never sacked York. Like I said, there's a lot this movie got wrong, and it's more so based off a poem called The Wallace than based off of actual history. And frankly, The Patriot's not much better. There's a lot this movie deliberately gets wrong. As I mentioned earlier, it's controversial for its portrayal of the British, and even though I strongly disagree with this current outrage culture, the anger for how this movie portrayed the British is actually justified. The scene where they burn a church and massacre wounded POWs is pure fiction. Not to mention, the movie goes out of its way to showcase them in their worst sort of light. So even though I don't have a dog in that fight, I can still respect why people don't like this aspect of the movie. And our hero Benjamin Martin is based off a few historical figures. However, in the film, they make him to be as virtuous as possible while shedding all the negative things, like owning slaves. Also, the reloading times for the muskets in the film, they were really quick compared to how long it actually takes to load a musket. I'm aware this was done to keep the film fast-paced, but still. Also, there are some shots where it looked like cannons were firing explosive rounds. That was not around in the American Revolution. So which film is more accurate? I mean, they're both terrible representations of history, but I'm gonna give it to The Patriot simply because the uniforms, clothing, most of the weapons, and battle sequences were period correct. That's just about the only thing The Patriot got right. So winner, The Patriot.
Insolent bastard!
Now those were great rounds, but I've got one more bonus round that I'm gonna throw at you guys. This last round is which movie has the better quotes, so sit back and listen to my favorite quotes from these movies.
Tell me about Ohio.
First, learn to use this. Then I'll teach you to use this.
But you said we'd be forgiven.
And indeed you may!
That's between you and God.
These rustics are so inept. Nearly takes the honor out of victory. Nearly. But it's our wits that make us men.
Kill me before the war is over, will you? It appears you are not the better man.
Every man dies. Not every man really lives. You're right. My sons were better men.
You have bled with Wallace! Now bleed with me!
Those are some epic and hard-hitting quotes, my friends, but it's clear that Braveheart takes the cake. Winner, Braveheart. So guys, now everything's tied up. There's no clear winner yet. However, if you've watched any of my movie versus movie videos before, you'll know that it's not the number of rounds that's important. So the winner is Braveheart. Guys, Braveheart is an epic amongst epics. It is without a doubt one of the greatest movies ever made. In fact, it's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's such a powerful movie that I can't even come close to doing it justice. Now, don't get me wrong, The Patriot was amazing. However, it's more of a casual watch compared to Braveheart. I say this with respect, but I can mindlessly tune into The Patriot to kill a few minutes or watch it absent-mindedly while playing on the computer or something.
Damn your sympathy.
However, Braveheart commands much more respect and is not a simple casual watch. You need to prepare yourself before watching it, and you need to make a whole event out of it. It's something that you should watch on special occasions. Furthermore, it's one of the most inspirational, touching movies ever made. You can't watch it and not feel insignificant. It makes you want to live your life to the best and most fullest and accomplish great things. Not to be cheesy, but it has definitely helped me through some really dark times in my life. So there we have it, gang. Braveheart versus The Patriot, and Braveheart is our winner. What did you think about the video? Let me know by commenting below. Do you agree? Disagree? Which movie do you like better? Etc. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's totally free and really helps me out. Also, follow me on Instagram. That will be linked below. And I just created a new YouTube channel. Definitely check that out and subscribe. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Unpopular Opinion.